In last video, we discussed about the concept of the Python programming language. We discussed about the basic thing, what is Python, why we are using Python. Then we installed the Python programming Python inside our system. Then we executed our first program of the Hello World on the IDE, and the command prompt. So now in this video, we are going to discuss about the statements in Python programming language. Along with that, we are going to discuss about multiple other concepts as well. Let's first understand what is a statement. So statement means whatever the instructions we are providing to the Python interpreter, that means instructions that the Python interpreter can execute. That the Python interpreter can execute is called as a statement. So whatever we are writing inside our Python file is called as a statement. Let's consider this is our Python file. Inside our Python file, we are having the multiple line of a statement. Now all those lines which our Python interpreter can understand and can convert those lines into the machine code, those lines are called as a statements. Now statements can be of multiple types, like the single line statement, multi-line statement. So in previous video we discussed about the multi-line statement. Multi-line statement means, let's consider when I was working on the IDLE or the command prompt. So we created a variable that is a. Inside this I want to store the summation of 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. In last video we discussed about this concept. Now I want to provide my input from the next line, that means from this line. So if I want to move to the next line, I need to use the new line character, or this is the first way, that means new line character, then providing the input over here, that is 3 plus 2 plus 1. Then again I want to move to the new line character, then 2 plus 1. This is the first way. The another way was like this, b, and then using the round bracket, 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. Then I want to move to the new line, that is plus, and I want to move to the new line, that is 2 plus 1. Now I'm closing this bracket. So it is going to add all those values and it is going to store those values inside the b variable. So this was called as a multi-line statement. This multi-line statement. Single line statement means we are writing anything inside a single line, that is called as a single line statement. So I think you are having a basic idea about the single line statement and the multiple line statement. Now we will be discussing some examples. Let's move to the VS Code. On VS Code, we are let's understand with an example over here. So all these line number 1, line number 2, line number 3, all those are called as a statement. Now we have a concept of a compound statement. So in compound statement, so we are discussing our first topic inside the statement, that is compound statement. Compound statement. Inside the compound statement, we are having the multiple statement, like the if statement. If statement, we will be discussing, basically these are the conditional statement, like the if statement, while loop, for loop. Then we have the try, catch block, try catch. So all these statements are called as a compound statement because these statements comes with the multiple line. If I am using a if statement, that means in this example, as you can see, I was using a if statement. So this if statement is combined with the multiple line of a statement, like these 3 lines of a statement. That's the reason it is called as a compound statement. Along with that, we are having the multiple other as well, like the while statement or the for statement. All these statements are combined with the multiple lines of code. That's the reason we are calling as a compound statement. Okay, then we have a expression statement. Expression statement means we are having a particular expression, or we want to calculate something like a equal to 1, b equal to 2. These are also the expression statement. And now c equal to a plus b. This is also the expression statement. That means we are adding some value, we are doing the multiplication, we are dividing, or we are doing the subtraction. So we are doing some some task over here. So that's the reason it is called as an expression. Because we are doing some operations, we are using some operators. Now the another statement is the pass statement. This is the important one. Pass statement. Pass statement says whenever we want to create any block statement with the empty body, we will be using pass statement. I said whenever we want to create any block statement with an empty body, the block statement can be if statement, while statement, for statement, try statement, catch statement, or any other statement as well. Empty body means, let's understand with this example over here. Let me first remove these two lines. So as you can see, I have created a if block, but the body of the if block is empty. I'm not writing anything inside the body of the if block. So if I will execute this, I will get the error. I'm getting the error over here. So I want to create, this is a block statement. This is a block statement. Block statement. This is a block statement. So I want to create a block statement with the empty body. So I will be using a pass statement that is called as a, now if I will execute, I will not get any kind of error. Only line number 7 will be executed because I have created a if statement with the empty body. Because I have used the pass statement. So pass statement always help you to create the any block statement with the empty body. So this is the purpose of the pass statement. Then we have a delete statement. Delete statement, as the name is suggesting, delete statement. So whenever I want to delete something, let's consider I have created a variable a which is storing a value 10. Now I want to delete this value, so I will simply use delete a. So this is the reserved statement that is saying whatever you want to delete, you can simply use the del keyword, and using this del you can simply delete that. So this is called as a delete statement. Now we are having a return statement. On fourth number, we are having a return statement. Return statements are generally used when we are dealing with the functions. These are generally used when we are dealing with the functions. So let's create a function over here. So here we are going to discuss about the, here I am creating a new file that is return.py. Functions we have not discussed yet, but for now simply you can understand I am creating a function simply to make you understand about the return statement. Num1 comma num2. Then I want to return something from here. I want to return num1 plus num2. I want to return this value. And when I am calling, now I am calling this function that is result equal to addition, and inside this I am passing 10 comma 20. Then I am printing the result. Print result. So what I am doing, I am simply creating a function. So in Python, whenever you want to create a function, there is a reserved keyword for creating a function that is called def keyword. So using this, I am defining a function. So this is defining a function, and this line is consuming a function. So here I have defined a function that there is an addition function which is taking the two arguments, that is num1, that is taking the two arguments, that is num1 and num2, and whatever the value I am passing, I want the summation of those two values. So return statement is simply returning the summation of these two values, that is num1 and num2. Now I am consuming that function. I am saying that I am consuming this function. I am passing the addition. Inside this addition, I am passing 10 and 20. So this 10 and 20 is passed from here to here. This num1 is taking 10 and this num2 is taking 20. And now this function is returning me 10 plus 20. That's the reason I will execute this code, because I have printed on the line number 5. If I will execute this, I will get the output as 30. I'm getting the output as 30. So return statement always help you return something from the function. Whenever you want to return something from the function, then we will be using the return statement. Then after the return statement, we are having an import statement. So import statement means, let's consider I want to import some default file. There is an import statement. Import statement means, let's consider there is a default file or default module. You want to import that module, that you will be using the import statement. Here I'm simply creating a new file, or I'm simply commenting this. I'm simply commenting this, and then I'm importing a new file. Commenting means that these lines will not be considered by your Python interpreter. These lines will not be considered while executing your program. These are simply for the understanding purpose. So whenever you are typing any this hash sign before any line, that line will be commented. And once that line will be commented, so those lines will be ignored by the interpreter while executing your program. So here I am importing a module that is a default module provided by the Python that is called as a date time. And using this module, I can do the multiple tasks. Let's consider I want to print my current time. So I am creating a variable now. Inside the now, I'm using the date time module. So this is the name of the module which I have imported. Inside this module, I'm having a function date time. I'm having a function date time. Inside this date time class or function, there is another thing that is now. So basically, you can understand this first date time is the module name. Another date time is a class name which we have defined inside the date time module. This is a default class, and inside that there is a dot now function. This is also a default function. Now, if I will print now, I will get the current date and time. So I am getting the current date and current time. So to import any default module or to import any user created module, we are just using a import statement. Then we have the continue and break statement. Then these continue and break statement we always use while dealing with the looping statement like the while loop, for loop. So we have continue and break. This we will discuss while discussing the while loop and the for loop or the looping statements. Okay, so now we have discussed about the concept of a statement. We are done with the statements part. So the next topic is comments. So whenever you are writing something inside your program, but you want that those lines are simply for the understanding purpose, you don't want to execute, you don't want that the interpreter execute those lines while understanding the code. So the example for this can be this line from line number 1 to line number 5. Line number 5. I have commented these lines. I am saying that I don't want these lines to be executed. So interpreter is going to ignore these lines while executing your program. Okay. So these comments are simply for the understanding purpose so that you can basically increase the readability of the code. If any other person wants to understand your code, then you can using comments, you can simply make the code more understandable as compared to the normal code. So we are using the hash sign to create the comment. Now the best way to create the comment, let's consider I simply want to create the comment these multiple lines. What I will do, I will simply select all these lines, then I will click on control and then backslash. Using control backslash, I can basically comment the multiple lines. In this way, you can do the multi-line comments as well. So this was a part of the comments. So comments was very simple topic. Now we are moving to the important topic, that is keywords in Python programming language. Keywords in Python. This is a very important topic. So keywords are basically the reserved word. Reserved word means in Python programming language we are having some reserved word. Reserved word that are having the special meaning. That are having special meaning. Like the if statement, we discussed about if statement. So if is basically a reserved word that is having a special meaning that is reserved inside the Python. For loop, while loop. So all these words are reserved in Python. So that's the reason we are calling these are as a statement, these as a keywords. Now I want to check all the keywords, all the reserved word in Python programming language. So there are two ways. First one is a default module. The name of the module is keyword. Using this default module, I can check all the available keywords inside the Python programming language. So let's execute this. So I have commented all the code over here. Now from the line number 10, what I'm doing from the line number 10, I'm importing a module. I'm importing a module. And the name of the module is keyword. Keyword. And now inside using this module, I can basically check what are the default words or the keywords available in Python programming language. So what I have to do, print And inside this keyword module, there is a kw list. kw list. kw list. Now, if I will execute this program, I will get all the list of all the reserved words that are available inside the Python programming language. That is false, none, true, and, as, assert, async, await, break, class. So all these are the reserved word, and these reserved word are called as a keyword. Now let's consider. I want now the another way of checking this list is using the command prompt. Using the command prompt, what you can do first, you need to start your Python interpreter, Python. Now using help, inside the help you can type keywords. You will get the list of all the keywords. That is all the reserved word. We'll click enter. So these are the reserved word. That is false, class name, class, for, or, none, continue, global, pass. So these are all are the reserved word that are reserved inside the Python programming language, and those are called as a keywords. Now my requirement is that I simply want, let's consider I don't know why this def keyword is used. I want to understand why this def keyword is used. So what I will do, I will use help. Inside this help, I will simply use, first I will use the print statement, print. Inside print, I will type help, and I want to understand the functionality of the def keyword. I will type def. Now if I will click enter, all the documentation about the def keyword is provided to us. Why we are using a function definition to define a user defined function. So this is the purpose of using the def keyword to define a function, and all the details are provided to you. In the similar way, you can click on, if you want to understand more deeply, you can simply click on enter, and all the documentation process regarding the def keyword you will get. Let's consider I want to get the detailed understanding about the if statement. So I will type help, print help. Inside the double quotes, I will type if statement. I will close the bracket, click enter. So I am saying the if statement is used for the conditional execution. Whenever you want to execute some functionality based on some condition, then you will be using the if statement. In this way, you can check the list of all the keywords available inside the Python programming. Now, if I want to do the same thing using the keyword module, like on the VS Code, I want to execute the same functionality. So what I will do, I will use the print statement. First, I will comment this line. Then I will use the print statement. Inside this, I will use keyword. This is the name of the module. I want to check is keyword. Basically, I want to check whether the provided word is a keyword or not. I simply want to check this. This will return me true or false. Basically, this is a reserved word. That's the reason I'm getting true. If I will provide any random name, that means so I will provide, I'm getting false because this is not a reserved word. I can simply define this class. If I will be providing the India, this is also not a reserved word. I'm getting false. So using in this way, you can check whether the provided keyword is a reserved word or not. So basically, we are having the multiple keywords. Let's first think. Okay, so this was the list. This was the list. Here we are having the list over here. So these keywords are for the different purposes. If I want to do the conditional execution, there is a conditional execution of the program. There is if statement, else statements, elif statement. If I want to define a function, then there is a def keyword that is used to define a function. Then we are having a break and continue. There is a break, there is a continue. This is used while dealing with the looping statement, while the while loop, a for loop. So though different keywords are having the different purpose. So let's consider I want to execute a program based on conditional execution. So I will be using the if else statement. I want to do the looping, then I will use the for loop, while loop. So all these are the different reserved keyword in Python programming language. Variables in Python programming language. It is variables. So variables, if I talk about the definition about the variables, so variables is basically a reserved word. So a variable a variable is a reserved word, reserved memory area. It is not a word, it is basically a reserved memory area, or you can also say it is a memory address to store the value, to store the value. So whenever you are creating any variable to store any value, let's consider I am creating a variable, that is this is the name of the variable. I am storing the 4 value. So what will happen? First, a memory will be reserved for this a variable. Basically, the memory will be reserved for this b4 value, and then the allocation of this value will be provided to a. If in case, let's consider I have created a multiple variable, that is a b variable which is also storing 4. There is a c variable which is also storing 4. There is a d variable which is also storing 4. So multiple memories will not be allocated in Python. A single memory will be allocated, but the reference of all these variables will be provided to that memory. That means b will also be reflecting to that particular memory address. C will also be reflecting to that particular memory address. D will also be reflecting to that particular memory address. But if in case there is any other variable which is storing the different value, that is E is storing the 5. So another memory will be available, will be provided to the 5 variable, and the reference of that value will be provided to the E variable. Okay. So in this way, the memory allocation will take place in Python programming language. If in case there is another variable f which is also storing the 5, so the reference of this value will be provided to the f variable. If in case I am deleting, let's consider I am deleting the f variable, I want to delete the f variable, so I have used the delete statement, and using the delete statement I said that I want to delete f. So what will happen? Instead of deleting the memory, it is simply going to delete this reference, it is simply going to remove this particular reference from the memory, and rest other things will remain the same. So this reference will be removed, but the value, that means the memory that is allocated to the value, will not be removed. So this reference will be removed from the memory due to this delete statement. Now basically we are done with the variables part. So let's do some practical implementation. We already have implemented multiple things. Now let's do some practical implementation of the variables as well. So here I am creating a new file, variables.py. .py always provide the .py is always necessary because it is the extension to create a Python file. Now here I am creating a variable, that is name, which is storing John. This is our first name. The age is 25. Then salary is 25,000, and I want to simply print name. I want to print age. I want to print salary. First, I have defined the variable. Now I am printing the variable. If I will execute this, I will get the output as John 25 and 25,000. For the line number 4, I am getting John. For the line number 5, I am getting 25, and for line number 6, I am getting the 25,000. So line number 1, line number 2 has created the variable. So using the line number 1, what I am doing, I am simply reserving a memory address. Basically, a John value is provided with a memory, and the reference of this John value is provided to the name variable. In the similar way, the 25 is provided with the memory address, and the reference of 25 is provided to the age variable. Then in the similar way, salary is created. Basically, the 25,000 is created, and the reference of the 25,000 is provided to the salary. Okay. So we are done with the variables part. Let's before completing this topics, let's discuss one more type. Let's consider I want to check the type of the data which I have stored. Let's consider I want to check what kind of data I have stored inside the line number 1. So what I can do, I can use the type of function. Basically, I can use type to check. Let me write the comment over here to check the type of data stored inside a variable, we can use type keyword. Type is also a default keyword. So using type keyword, I can check the data, what kind of data I have stored inside that variable. So let me write over here. On the line number 9, I am typing print, and then I want to check the type of name variable. And then on the line number 10, I want to check the type of age. On line number 11, I want to check the type of salary. I will execute this. As you can see, first the line, due to line number 9, I am getting the string, because inside the name variable I am storing the string data. Why I am calling this as a string data? Because data is stored inside the double quotes or the single quotes. For the line number 10 also, I am getting a str because I have stored the data inside the string, that is a double quotes. If I will remove this string and if I will execute this program again, the class will change from str to int, because previously I was storing the data inside the double quotes, but now I am not using the data inside the double quotes. So if I will execute this again, as you can see, class is changed from str. Before it was str, now it is int, because now it is storing the integer data type. Initially it was earlier it was storing the string data type. So in this way you can also detect the type of the data which the variable is storing. In the similar way, you can also create a floating point data. Let's consider I am having a float data. I have created a variable which is a float data that is storing the 2.23. Now if I will check the type float data, I will execute this, I will get the class float. Okay. In this way you can check the different kind of data available inside our Python program. So since it is a dynamically type, so we need not to define the type of the variable. The Python is going to detect the type of the variable and it is going to store the data accordingly. You need not to worry about the type of the variable you are storing inside the variable. Okay, so we are done with the variables part.